Welcome to An Author's Voice, where I'll discuss the craft behind writing and illustrate the points with my own work or discuss other well-known examples. Here's something I didn't fully understand until I was deep into writing Another Past. Every first-person narrator is lying. Not in the thriller sense, not Amy Dunn constructing entries in a diary she knows will be read. I mean something quieter and harder to control. Every first-person narrator is unreliable because they're a person, and people are unreliable narrators of their own lives by definition. We filter, we omit, we reshape the story to protect the version of ourselves we need to believe in. The question was never whether your narrator is unreliable. The question is whether you, the writer, are controlling what they get wrong. Paul Taylor in Another Past gave me a very specific version of this problem. He's 65 years old, trapped in a 15-year-old body, back in 1979 with 50 years of foreknowledge at his disposal. He knows things. He's confident about what he knows. And his narration, right from the first chapter, carries that confidence, which is exactly where his blind spot lives. Here's how Chapter 1 ends.
Better to avoid them all. I'd hunker down in the lab, do my work, and save them all despite themselves.
Save them all despite themselves. That line is doing enormous craft work, and it took me a while to see it fully. That's not a confident man. That's a man who has already decided he knows better than everyone around him before he's done anything. The foreknowledge isn't just a premise. It's a character flaw woven into the narration. The reader feels it before they can name it. And Paul knows this. At least, he knows the surface version of it. Here he is in Chapter 2, baling hay on his uncle's farm, the first summer back.
I still had no explanation for what had happened to me, but I was determined to make the most of the opportunity. I was working hard this summer to get some money that I could leverage with my knowledge of my past future. Likewise, I knew Apple Computer was having its IPO in 1980. I wanted to be part of that, but I had also decided I could not just pursue money. Yes, I could get money with my knowledge, but I was proving that the past was not fixed. I could not rely just on my foreknowledge. I also knew that if I was successful in changing my fate, then I also had a chance to change the fate of the country, and possibly the world.
I could not rely just on my foreknowledge. He knows that sentence is true. He's already watching the past diverge from what he remembers. But knowing that your confidence is unreliable is different from being able to feel that it is. The gap between those two things is where the story lives, and where, in Chapter 4, it lands its hardest moment. Wendy is a senior, 3 years older than Paul's borrowed body. She's been his girlfriend for a few weeks. He knows she's been diagnosed with a tumor. He knows she goes into the hospital before Thanksgiving and doesn't come out. What he doesn't know is what her letter will do to him. Warning. Spoilers in this next bit.
I got her letter the next day. My love, if you are reading this, I'm gone. I hate being melodramatic, but I asked a nurse to mail it. Mom and Dad would probably read this, and I want this to be between myself and the man I love. I was so happy you called on Wednesday. I was convinced that telling you how I really felt about you would guilt you into saying you loved me, too. But you beat me to the punch all on your own. Once again, you're beyond normal. I wanted to tell you how much it means to me, knowing you felt about me the same way I felt about you. I'm dead and you're alone. I don't like the thought of not spending my life with you, or leaving you hurting. But there are no guarantees that we would live happily ever after either, so I'll take what I can get of you. And you gave me as much love and happiness as I could stand in our brief weeks together. You'll always be the love of my life, but I can't fill that role for you. It is my wish that you find someone else to share your wonderful heart with. Thank you for that, my love. The next morning was cold and overcast and looked like rain. But I didn't care. I put on my sweats and hit the road before dawn. I was a 70-year-old man in a 15-year-old body, and an 18-year-old girl had taught me more about the meaning of love and life than all my years of experience.
An 18-year-old girl taught him more than 50 years of living. That sentence is only possible because his 50 years of living was shaped by a particular blind spot, the belief that knowledge and understanding are the same thing. He knew Wendy would die. He didn't know what it would cost him. He didn't know, until it happened that he hadn't actually known her the way she'd known him. She died not knowing who he really was. That gap between what the narrator reports and what the reader is beginning to understand is what perceptual unreliability actually looks like. Not a twist, not a planted lie, just a man narrating his own life with a blind spot he can't quite see, and a story that accumulates evidence of it whether he intends it or not. The book is Another Past by Charlie Follett. If you're writing in first person, try this before your next scene. Write one sentence describing what your narrator cannot see about themselves, not what they're hiding from the reader, what they're hiding from themselves. Then write in the shadow of that sentence, and trust the reader to feel it. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you'd like to hear or read more of this sort of thing, subscribe to my email list and follow me on social media using the link below, or search online for Charlie Follett, and you will likely find me. Until next time, thanks for following along. Voices for this recording provided by Speechify. All content written by Charlie Follett. Any opinions expressed in this recording are solely the author's. Learn more at charlieforay.com.